And hello everyone. Good afternoon. It's 3 p.m. on November 17th, 2020. My name's Grant Smith Ellis. I guess I'm the chairman of MassCan's at this point, although I really just think of myself as some guy. I'm here for our 19th Education Village panel. Now, as those of you who have been following know, this Education Village series dates back to the pre-COVID era, and it's a component of MassCann's mission to provide education about cannabis and activism in the Commonwealth, and we are continuing that tradition in the virtual era with these virtual Education Village panels. You can find out more about MassCan's or become a member or donate to the nonprofit at https://masscan.org. And that has all the information about joining the organization, and it also has a great little virtual Ed Village link right at the top of the page where you can see all of the previous 18 videos in this series. So today, to get right to it, I'm here with Bobby Nuggz, who's a local cannabis activist, advocate, pizza maker, and really more at this point, I guess. So I'll let Bobby give an introduction. And how you doing, Bobby?
I'm good, man. Just taking it day by day. Enjoying life. I don't know if I felt this happy in a long time, which is really cool and makes me proud to say. Things are good, yeah. Just feeling really good, making sure I'm staying focused on my health right now more than ever. I remember mentioning a couple, I think it was the Rick Nash show, that I've been getting into working out a little bit. Trying to run this whole season change thing kind of threw me for a loop. It does every year. Kind of slows me down and get into a little bit of a funk, but I've been staying very busy, so that's a plus.
I'm glad to hear that. I know as part of that busy schedule, we're going to get to the articles you've been writing, but I see your wonderful pizzas popping up more and more these days. How did this bar-style pizza adventure start, and where have you taken it? It's really taken off, if I've been watching correctly.
Yeah, it really has. It's probably been about 9 or 10 months now. I had visited Spain, and a whole whirlwind of shit happened when COVID initially started and Trump made that announcement. When I got home, all the restaurants were shut down, and I was watching Barstool Sports, El Presidente, and he would always make a really big deal about bar pizza. And I was like, bar pizza, okay, pizza served at a bar. Was going around thinking I was getting bar pizza, going to get pizza at bars. Then I came to find out that it's actually a completely specific type of pizza. And it's a pan pizza hailing from the South Shore of Massachusetts only. This isn't a pizza you can really get anywhere else in the world. Maybe it spilled in New Jersey and Connecticut a little bit. But it's a pan pizza, 10-inch personal size. I started practicing it for myself. Before I knew it, I had made already 100 pizzas, and people started wanting them. So I started making them for friends and for family. And things started rapidly taking off. Before I knew it, I was like, all right, now I need to make an Instagram page. I'm really good at building brands and from the ground up and grassroots, figuring things out with that type of stuff, social media wise. So I just started posting my pizzas every day. And before I knew it, I started working with a local restaurant called Bonetown Burger and Barbecue. I did my first pop-up with them, and it went horrible. It was a night where we had a severe storm, and I had 150 pizzas spoken for my first time. It was going to be a really big deal for me, and we lost power. It was a huge learning experience for me and quite a humbling one, and I faced many of those speaking engagement wise and in our community many a times, but that one hit me a little differently there, having bought all those ingredients and just really want to get my pizza to the people. So from there, I'm finally starting to get the hang of things, and we got food safety certified and learning the ins and outs of how to legally do this and make it a real legal business. Things are extremely difficult right now due to COVID. Real estate is very interesting. People are still trying to charge top dollar for restaurant spaces, even though you can't dine in. So right now I'm kind of biding my time, building the brand, and we're establishing pizza pop-up pizza parties at the Summit Private Lounge. They have a fully licensed kitchen and cafe. So we make the pizzas at another off-site licensed kitchen, bring them there and heat them up. Everybody gets a gift box. It's social distance. So right now that's an outlet for us to get the pizza in people's hands who really want it, you know?
Yeah, and tell me a little bit about this, because I read this great article in The Dig about South Shore bar style pizza. And there's this whole history, is there not, behind how this sort of style came to be. And what makes it so delicious, I mean, I don't want you to give away any of the tips of the trade, obviously, but what makes it so delicious is it's not really cooked like a regular pizza. It's a little bit different, it's smaller, and it actually tastes a lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah. A lot but more buttery of a crust. Essentially, that's an ingredient that a lot of places incorporate. The history, it's been around since I think the 40s or the 50s, maybe 60s, 60, 70 years for Linwood or Cape Cod Cafe. I actually forget the first one, but they're so embedded in the Massachusetts culture that they're getting spots on television shows and references on really famous TV shows and stuff like that. So it's crazy to see it. Some of these people have been eating at bar pizza establishments like Cape Cod Cafe or Linwood as long as I've been alive. So to have missed out on this type of pizza my whole life, being from a predominant Italian Portuguese area in Rhode Island, where we get more of a Neapolitan and Sicilian style pizza, I'm so blessed to have been introduced to this and now be a connoisseur, and to bring bar pizza over the border into Rhode Island makes me proud. And you know, I've got some challenges to face doing this, learning the food industry. And it's just crazy how things came full circle. I would have thought maybe I would have done a CBD company or started a hemp brand because my family owns a farm, but pizza is where things and the cards have fallen for me right now. So I'm just running with it, dude. You know what I mean?
It's awesome. And it's so funny because, and I don't think I've ever told you this, you know, we've talked to each other about cannabis and so many different panels, but when I was younger, my family used to go on a visit to the Cape every year. My father used to do the same thing growing up. He would go to Orleans. We would go to Wellfleet. Not the nicest area, but it was great. Always a fun time. And on the way back home, he would always make us pull off on the highway near Plymouth and go to this bar. And I never got why we always went to this bar. And it was because he would go in there and get a pizza for himself. We didn't eat a lot of pizza as kids, but he used to love, and it wasn't until I was an adult, and actually until I put two and two together when reading about this South Coast bar pizza, when your article came out, that I realized, oh, that's why he always wanted to get that.
It's a total thing. Thanks to COVID and everybody being at home, it turned into a cultural phenomenon. And the popularity is crazy. I'm in the South Shore Bar Pizza Social Club group. It's really helped me establish myself as a pizzaiolo and a pizza maker. They went from like 5,000 members to almost 25,000 members in the last 6 months. So the community behind it is just like the cannabis community, and the way that it coexists and coincides, I wanted to combine and align together because I haven't really seen it done too much in our community. You know what I mean? Not too many. And I also think it's cool, you know, a lot of different people in all walks of business life, hip hop stars and musicians, they start restaurants. I thought it would be smart of me to start to get those dominoes in the line for me, you know, because that's something I've always wanted to do. So,
yeah, I dig it, and it's definitely a translatable skill, as you were mentioning, and at the same time, the challenges you're running into, unfortunately, are also lessons that are going to have to translate, because I think you were mentioning a little bit in the pre-COVID era, obviously there was a lot more room to maneuver in the restaurant industry and in the cannabis industry for that matter. Now, with the way things have changed, especially for folks who host events like pop-up events and things like yours, you've taken a lot of steps to be able to host those events in obviously a safe environment, and you've gone above and beyond. Was that itself a learning process for you?
Oh my God, yes. I think over the last 8 or 9 years of my event management experience has all accumulated to this point. 2019, my girlfriend and I launched our first legal business and an events promotion company called High End Events. So we have our first LLC and a legal entity to throw cannabis-related events, food-related events, and now we're food safety certified and about to have our insurance and everything like that to start our catering business. So COVID has really thrown a lot of curveballs, and I really see that being a legitimate way to keep the social consumption and nightlife atmosphere alive is food. Going after what the restaurants are doing right now. It all depends on COVID. All of this could change tomorrow. So we work with the Summit Private Lounge. They've changed a lot of things over there the last 5 or 6 months due to COVID. I just interviewed them for Northeast Leaf magazine. We were the first ones to hear from them about the changes that they've done to the club. They've since put in a fully licensed kitchen and cafe and coffee shop. They have a barista, and they're making gourmet cappuccinos, lattes, all different types of things like that, and cinnamon buns. So they're allowing people to just come off the street, get a coffee. It's different. It's a whole different vibe at Summit now, and I really think that they've adapted. Just like we do best in our cannabis community, you constantly have to adapt. I've had to do it so many times, and the way they did it made me really proud, because at the same time I was kind of doing a similar thing. So now we're bringing our learning curve and learning experiences together in the food industry and trying to showcase something very positive and professionally showcased to our community now in a COVID world. I just did a brunch at the Summit Private Lounge. We did 2 groups of 10 in time blocks. That's the rule now. You can only have groups of 10 people. So everybody got to come and enjoy a 3-course brunch, social distance. I checked everybody's temperature myself. I took their phone number and their email. We really took the extra length and put hand sanitizer everywhere. We gifted people masks. I didn't allow people to get up out of their seats. They didn't have to, because we catered to them. It was a really cool experience, and it's cool to still see our community trust and have faith in people to do this the right way, and know that their safety and health is our utmost concern. We're having to face this no matter what. So I think it's important for event organizers in our community especially to figure out how this is going to work for us in the future. It's going to be little by little. It's going to be a very slow process for us all, because, as you know, many members of our community have had some big plans, and huge big name events such as Boston Freedom Rally and everything have had to fall on the wayside. So I think smaller personal micro events like that is the way to go. People need to pay attention to what Summit's doing, because they're doing a really great job with things. And I hope that we continue to add to that standard that they're trying to put across right now. It's really important to me, because I know with my reputation on social media, I have a lot of eyes on me all the time. And I knew doing that brunch that some people may disagree with doing an event during the pandemic, but I wanted to show people that there are individuals right now who are taking this seriously, and events can still happen in a professional and safe way. So,
well, and it really is crucial, because by building that track record, you can help to sustain an industry that no one wants to see disappear. And I am a disabled person myself. I'm immunocompromised. I'm homebound, and so I am absolutely the first person to say the first agenda item always has to be public safety. But at the same time, I do not want to see the live events industry completely collapse. I don't think anyone benefits. However, if it's going to continue, I want to see responsible individuals like yourself setting the tone so that we do not cause more harm than good.
Exactly. And right now, I know the pandemic is kind of surging more than ever. And I'm sure there's a number of factors that are adding to that. So we just want to make sure we're ahead of the curve and know what's going on. So I am constantly paying attention to what's going on in the news, and with Charlie Baker, with Gina Raimundo, because they kind of coexist with each other and base a lot of their decisions off one another. If Mass does one thing, she's going to do something similar. So it's really also comes down to the patients. None of us can forget that many of us are immunocompromised and have an array of things that we have to deal with on a daily basis, and we're all in fear and anxiety ridden right now because of this. So last thing you want to do is go to a cannabis event and feel more anxiety. You know what I mean? So we want to help suppress that anxiety and, make a good mark like I always have, because that's what I try to do. I try to find a better, more respectful way. So,
well, it's a good segue in some sense, because I was actually just about to ask you about some current events.
Yes.
I know you're somebody who even from afar, follows the grassroots cannabis industry in Massachusetts very closely. And I'm sure you saw last Friday's very interesting public comment period about adult use delivery. And I know you know a lot about it, but for the folks who might be just learning about it, this is an educational forum after all. In Massachusetts, the Cannabis Control Commission was thinking about how adult use cannabis delivery should work. And there were two different ways they were thinking about that adult use delivery working. One is an Uber Eats courier, where you own some cars, pick up orders at retail price, and then deliver it for a delivery fee. And then the other is an actual wholesale model, where you own a vault, buy product at wholesale, and then deliver it directly. Bobby, what were your thoughts as you saw that very interesting hearing play out there? There's obviously some tension there, right? Because the dispensaries want the courier model and the grassroots equity companies want the wholesale model. So what do you think of that whole thing?
I mean, I've never really been for corporate cannabis, you know what I mean? And they're going to have a say and a huge reflection and on everything that goes on. And I think it's great to see all of our members of our community stepping up and putting their voices where they need to be heard. I listened to a bunch of different testimonies, because I kind of want to know what was going on, because I've been really busy the last few weeks. To me, it seems like social equity applicants and everyone are completely in the right. And it looks like the CCC made a good decision by allowing that second license. And I obviously think that is the most logical and most fair one to go with. I've personally had some numerous experiences with delivery services myself in California. It's such a different thing when you go to a dispensary and you get to see everything, and then you order this kind of weird phone number. You got to call in, and they come to your house with this black suitcase and the security guard next to them, and they have to come in your home and show you the suitcase. And when I had dealt with the two that I did, they weren't knowledgeable at all, and it looked like that it was from one of those secondary sources that weren't, really part of the community and just are really raking in tons of cash. The quality of the medicine that he brought wasn't very good, and the prices were so crazy high. I think I remember scoffing at him, and he kind of got a little disrespected by my East Coast terp loud attitude, where his hash just wasn't up to par, any of it. And I turned it all down, and then I think I ended up grabbing an overpriced eighth of some OG. But the second experience that I had, the person came and he was so knowledgeable. He was really, you could tell this was his whole life, and he was so proud to do this and knew every strain and all the lineage of them all, and terpene profiles, and he was such a weed nerd, you know what I mean? And I think that's where the lines are drawn. We're the weed nerds, and the corporate cannabis, it weeds everybody out, and we're really seeing right now who's who, where they stand. And I think that's constantly needed right now, especially with the social equity applicants. So yeah, for me, I couldn't see a better way to do it than the social equity applicant way. Having the vault, right? They're going to have their own vault, and that's also going to keep it so the prices would be a little bit lower, I'd imagine, correct?
Yeah, and I think you can see now why some of the dispensaries were so intent on trying to kill this model, because who benefits if there's a slow rollout in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, whatever, for the legal market? The people who are already running stores, because it means there's an artificial scarcity and their prices are artificially higher. Now, therefore, when you introduce this warehouse model, you introduce competition, you lower the price. For example, in Massachusetts, the national average for a top shelf ounce of flower is about $320, $330. We're looking at $360 in Massachusetts. Some places charge as much as $400. And that's what they're really afraid of. They don't want that to go down.
I mean, we know what's going to happen when it does. The black market's just going to get even stronger. And I'm sure all of us who are a part of this community, we walk that gray area a lot of the time because of who we know and what we do. I just feel like, fuck corporate cannabis, man. Support anybody growing their home grows, and cultivators are small businesses, dude, and they're struggling. The ones in Rhode Island, they're having a hard time because they're not able to. They have to go for another license to get the rosin and this and that. It's like, it's sad, honestly, to see what they have to go through and how much money and this chopping block they're all put on. You know what I mean? So I really commend them all.
And I was going to say, can we still blame Buddy for that, or are we beyond blaming Buddy for that?
We're beyond blaming Buddy for that. We miss Buddy right now. That seems like the consensus in Rhode Island, because there's so many rumors going on around about Gina Raimundo and her husband and this and that and the other thing. I haven't been happy with how things have been in the state for a long time. So the fact that you guys have legalization, you're able to put these things on the table and get them sorted out together with the commission, like, you're breaking new grounds constantly. We haven't even broken the eggshell here to do anything. So,
do you have home grow?
We do have home grow, yes.
Okay. How is that? What are the rules?
Now you have to have plant tags, and you have to buy the plant tags to have your home grow. So they're all registered with the barcode and tracked. So they have their own tracking system, and it was a way for them to make excess tax dollars off of our patient system here. I think we're probably going to be 25,000 patients. We can still have 12 veg, 12 flower. I've seen that wanted to be changed numerous times over the years, 6, but that's a good number I'm happy with. Yeah. But no outdoor grow rights.
So you heard, in Massachusetts, adult use, it's 6 plants per, if you're over 21, up to 12 plants in one house. If you have 2 adults, no tags, nothing like that. Awesome. Did you hear the new rules for medical?
No.
Oh, so this is great. Medical home grow in Massachusetts used to kind of be this weird sort of gray area where it was allowed, but it wasn't allowed kind of thing. You were technically supposed to apply for a hardship permit, but they didn't have a process to get a hardship license. So basically you could kind of just grow, and if you got in trouble, you were supposed to say, well, I'm a medical patient, and there was no real defined limits, and it was a little weird. It led to things like people getting arrested for having 100 clones, which is just ridiculous. Or one guy got arrested with a medical card for having 63 plants, even though he needed that to produce FECO for, so anyway.
That will happen in Rhode Island too. If we're over, we'll end up getting in trouble for, if you're over 12 veg or 12 flower, or even 1, because those plants don't have a tag. Right. It just causes a whole new row in the bullshit. I've heard talk that they would like to start fining per plant every plant you're over, instead of giving you if you're already a felon, say, that's potentially another felon on your record right there, just because you're a patient who was over. Wow. For one plant it's a felony? One plant over? Don't quote me on that, but that seems to be the consensus with a lot of these guys. They're not ever just one plant over.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It's always a dozen or 100 over, you know what I mean? But no matter what happens, they're going to try to screw you. Or if not, I think fines would be great. I mean, I've seen a lot of people have 60 plants and get in serious trouble for that. Yeah. So if you were able to pay $1,000 for every plant if you add over instead of going to jail, I think that's a better option, Well,
obviously the ideal would be to increase the limit but
100%.
But on the Massachusetts medical patient front, we just got our plant count increased. So now we can have 12 veg, 12 flower, and unlimited clones. If you if we're a medical patient with no hardship.
Every state should have that.
Yeah.
It puts people in a weird situation, man. And what happens if a specific cultivar really helps you, and you have to get an extra 12 clones to veg out for the extra 6 to 8 weeks you need them to make sure you have that one strain again? No one's going to understand that specific strain has the terpene profile, the right THC count, and maybe some CBD that really helps your seizures, helps your appetite. No, you're a criminal now.
No, and
you know what I mean?
That's exactly, and I'm so glad the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission went along with that change, 4-0, by the way, because somehow, some way, someone got them to understand that it's not just what you're growing now, it's facilitating a rotating cycle, and they went along with it. I couldn't believe it.
I don't think if you haven't grown before a full cycle and have it rotating, I don't think you could understand how difficult it actually is to even do that. And what happens if you have an incident where in New England when your power goes out, you don't have the generator hooked up, all your plants shit the bed and they're all dead? What happens if your buddy has all these clones for you to take and you have extra and then you get in trouble? You know what I mean? It's just sad. So I think that's great. Unlimited clones, dude. Like, now I don't have to worry anymore if I'm over a little bit. I can mess around with different stuff. I can do some pheno hunting. I can really discover cannabis genealogy and lineages and hunt, because that's, in my opinion, pheno hunting and breeding is how we're getting all these new strains we're seeing, and that is what makes cannabis infinity and how we're all going to be involved in this 20, 30 years from now. Breeders, constant changing in the market.
And to go along with that, they added then another rule change up here, which is amazing. We actually have a caregiver system, not like Maine, not retail stores, but a caregiver can grow for a patient, drive the medicine to the patient, and then get reimbursed for the cost of the grow and the transportation, but not for their time. Well, for the longest time, you could only grow for one patient, which made things impossible because we have 7,500 caregivers in Mass and 90,000 patients. Yep. So this year, they just changed it so now you can grow for 5 patients at once. And those
I remember hearing that.
Yep, and 500 square feet of canopy. So what do you think of that kind of system?
I mean, does it get better than that? Like, that's really what we need to be seeing. Like, all these frustrating moments in time and years and all this hard work, like, those are the type of sensible cannabis laws that I think are going to boost the economy. They're going to help create more jobs. They're going to help eliminate the impact COVID has had on our economy. So it's just a good thing, Well,
and even to link it to your last point, it allows for exactly what you were talking about, but really the small-scale craft cultivation of strains for specific ailments.
Yep. And that, to me, I've seen tailored to so many different patients, such as the famous Charlotte's Web, rest in peace, Charlotte. Colorado has really good, I don't remember the laws of what their numbers are, but they've been able to have good numbers to be able to breed strains. And to be able to breed, you need to have a lot of different cultivars around, because that's the whole point of it. It's crossing things. So to do that, you want to have a bunch of different varieties around all the time, So I think that's great. You said 500 square feet. A lot can be done with that. You can do a lot with that. That's about, you think you could fit 8 lights in that?
I think you could even get more creative with the vertical space.
Yeah, that shit blows my mind, dude. I've never tried to grow that way. Who runs the vertical trellis company?
Oh, I've only seen the pictures, but I definitely have I have some plans in my mind. If you can't tell, I'm already thinking about how to make use of that kind of space. So
super cool, man. Where we're heading, I think, is a really good thing. The future of the cannabis industry, really, it's going to come down to people like us making sure the culture always stays alive. That's where we're going to always be able to remain having a seat at the table. We're going to have to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on. And thank you so much for all you do to continuously every day make sure that you're in the face of everybody, putting out information to let us know what's going on, because even people like me, you keep me informed, and being able to reference your page if I'm busy, it makes so much sense for me. Right? If I don't know what's going on, how do I find out? Right, I'm gonna go to Grant's page. You're doing really great things, man, and it's cool to see all this change and positive people helping bring the community into it, because I don't think people realize the difference between the cannabis community and the industry here, and people like us make it all coincide together, even though it's like oil and water in ways,
That's very kind of you to say, and I think you really drove at something important there, which is that if you're not at the table, you're what's for dinner. True. And that's for the longest time how the cannabis industry in Massachusetts or other states got cannibalized by very nefarious and greedy people, because although the activists were there, the community was more fractured, the voice wasn't as unified, and there were perhaps barriers to entry to getting into activism. And my goal is, I see it as two distinct types of sort of participation in the cannabis industry. There's knowledge you get from working with the plant, and I think that knowledge should be kind of something that you earn and then can do with what you want. If you want to go be a head cultivator, a consultant, whatever, privatize, sell that knowledge, I'm all for it. I think you earn it by working with the plant. Then there's another type of consultants in knowledge, which is regulatory consultants and legal knowledge. And I try to give that away for free, because I think that's how people become empowered. And nothing gets me so riled up as people who try to keep that behind a paywall and charge people for it. That's why I give it away, because I'm trying to get people to understand that that's how you actually make that kind of effective change, by learning that information.
It's more needed now than ever, my friend. You know, I've kind of taken a backseat with a lot of things, because that isn't really my forte. You know what I mean? I help where I can, and where I know my expertise and my voice can maybe benefit something, you know. But there's so many facets to this now, and so many levels above where we were, that I'm still trying to find my way and like where I belong and fit in with all this stuff. So it's cool to just be a part of it still, man, and try to stay consistent and get to watch all this unfold every day. And people like you and so many pioneers we have in Massachusetts right now, that I think our whole entire country and world should be paying attention to these people, because they're going to be the ones who are making the change now that really matters in the near future, in my opinion, especially with this delivery service. What do you think is actually going to happen with that?
Well, where we're at now is on Thursday at 10 a.m. You can find the stream on my Facebook profile, funny enough. There will be a Cannabis Control Commission hearing, and for the first 3 hours or so, they'll just be approving licenses. But then at about about 1 p.m. Eastern, they'll have a discussion about the delivery policy. What happened was, last month this delivery policy was supposed to be voted into existence, but they decided to delay it a little bit more to let the dispensaries and the public comment on it more. So that comment happened last Friday, the 13th. They'll discuss it this Thursday, the 19th, and then the formal vote will be on November 30th, I believe, at 10 a.m. So I think a lot of people are going to be looking forward to that vote on November 30th. When the regulations are finalized, there's then this 2-week period where they have to get submitted to the Secretary of State, and then they'll go into effect. If all works out, I expect the first delivery wholesale operator to be operational by like Q1, Q2 2021, so next year.
That's fucking sick. I really hope that it all goes in favor of all the social equity applicants, and I think that is going to make Massachusetts recreational cannabis more grassroots instead of so snaky. You know, things are crazy out there for everybody, and they deserve it, you know. And they'll have a priority right, correct, for 3 years? Or is it 5?
Yeah, that's the one big thing as well. So, and I'll ask you about this because there was actually some news about Rhode Island that came out today. But in Massachusetts, there's a mandate on the State Cannabis Control Commission to provide an equity structure, so facilitating ownership of companies in the cannabis industry from communities that were disproportionately impacted by the drug war. And part of that equity mandate is being accomplished by these delivery licenses you and I were talking about will only go to for 3 years to participants in the state's equity program. Now, the reason I was going to ask you about it is today, as you know, in the last election, 2 months ago, the Rhode Island Speaker of the House changed for the first time in a long time. Today, the new Speaker of the House has said that no question about it, adult use legalization is coming to Rhode Island this year, so 2021. So what I'm thinking, obviously you're going to be watching that unfold. Are you worried it's going to get taken over by these corporate forces? Do you think there's enough grassroots support to get something for equity in there? How are you thinking about it?
No, there's not. There really isn't. There aren't many people in Rhode Island anymore that really care. A lot of my efforts too, you know, have been in Massachusetts because things have been so stale here. The work that I can do wasn't really needed in a lot of different ways. But even me saying that makes me feel ashamed, you know. because I'm sure there are a lot of different ways I could help. Maybe it's because I don't necessarily know how in this state because it's so corrupt, and I feel so embedded with monopolization that someone like me really can't make a difference at this point in time. If legalization comes, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of different groups forming like Mass, and something like social equity could benefit our city extremely well. Providence and all of our components of the city, Central Falls and all over the place down to Fall River and whatnot, could really benefit from that. So hopefully it makes sense when it does happen. But yeah, I'm sure it is going to get run through and ran through by corporate cannabis, because it's just how it goes, man. You know, and this is it's the smallest state in the whole country, and it's pay to play. And just like anything else, all of these dispensaries had their time to make all of their money back, and you know, and that time has pretty much come to a head right now, and I think past for a few of them, and they're still the only ones. There's still only 3 compassion centers in the state. So I'm interested to see what happens with all of that. I don't know. I would like to see these cultivation centers more pop up and more mom and pop stores happen. Like Maine really has it going on. I really love what they got going on for their community, and you can really live the cannabis dream up there in a lot of different ways, I feel. And hopefully Rhode Island takes after Mass a little bit, so we'll see.
Tell me this. Isn't it the case? I mean, maybe I'm misremembering, but how old is Rhode Island's medical marijuana program? A lot of people don't know how old it is.
2006.
Yeah, it's not the earliest in the country, obviously California, but one of the earliest.
The oldest. I think we were top the first 5 states or 6 states or something like that. And I remember the first patient who got her card to this day, and I forget her name right now, but she was such a sweet Italian lady. But at that, I was in 9th grade when that happened, and I remember that being a huge thing in the state, and I pitched to my English teacher to cover it as a report, as an essay, and that was my first ever introduction into writing about weed, was actually writing about the first medical bell in Rhode Island and the first cannabis patient to get her card here, and how I thought that was big. And I actually remember in the article referencing California and Proposition 19 or 64. I can't remember the original one. Or that was Prop 215, actually. 215. It was 215, yes. All those numbers in my brain. Referencing that, and Dennis Perron and Jack Herrera in the article. And that was, those names left my brain and came back to me 4 or 5 years later in the form of me writing in the cannabis industry. So it was like a premonition for me when that happened. Kind of cool.
That is awesome, and we got a little bit of time left because I wanted to make sure I asked you about this. You've been writing for Northeast Leaf magazine. Obviously, they were one of our sponsors for the Boston Freedom Rally, which you can watch in full at facebook.com/MassCann or on our YouTube channel. Tell us a little bit about, I know your articles right now are spanning the gauntlet from obviously your favorite topic, which is hash, to pizza and otherwise. But yeah, tell us about the magazine, what you've been writing, where people can get it.
Awesome. The magazine, man. So Wes Abney founded the Northwest Leaf many years ago. It's been part of the cannabis community for a long time and is a coveted news source and publication. And High Times recently had a lot of changes. Danny Danko, I guess, was let go and partnered with Wes to develop and launch the Northeast Leaf. So it's a branch off of the Northwest Leaf. And I think they even have another one, the Southwest Leaf or something like that. But they're all over the place making big moves. They just launched their first issue, I believe, in October. So I immediately, if there's a cannabis publication out here, I've tried to be involved in it some way, shape, or form. And I knew, I've known Danny a long time, and he's really opened a lot of doors for me. And I knew the quality level that they were going to put across. So I immediately had to contact him, like, all right, how can I be involved with this? I didn't get to be in the first issue. I was a little bummed. So I've been working really hard with them. The last issue, I had 2 articles. This one right here, I got another 2 articles. And actually, Danny presented an opportunity to my girlfriend, too. She got her first published piece coming up next. Now we're photographing for them. I just got my first camera.
Oh, wow.
So Bailey has been showing me how to use this. She caught on to it really fast. So we're trying to take things to the next level. I have 6 pieces that I just pitched to them today for the next issue, and I have 3 or 4 pieces coming out in their December one. I cover everything. Mainly right now, one of my main focuses is reviewing these strains that are kind of mysterious at the dispensary, and no one really knows about them, and you only see them on the menu when you go there. Picking out my favorite or their favorite and giving my honest opinion about it. That's been something I've always enjoyed, talking about hash. So also I write about the stoner owner feature, something I really dig. It's highlighting businesses from our community who aren't necessarily cannabis related, but they're owned by people who support cannabis. So that's something. I have a few really great stoner owner features lined up for Northeast Leaf. And I really love the fact that I can just throw them ideas. Yeah, no, sounds great. Go ahead. We trust you. Do what you got to do. We love it. You know what I mean? And when it comes out, they don't change much. And I'm learning a lot right now. And getting the fact that all these years I never photographed anything, and Northeast Leaf kind of inspiring me to do that. Just opened another whole new door for me. So very appreciative and thankful. And hopefully I can translate that to Dig Boston as well and continue my reporting with them. And it feels good to be back at it and writing, because I was writing 4 or 5 articles a month for 6 years nonstop, and took a hiatus for a couple years, just finding myself, you know? So it feels really good to be back and covering current news and content in the cannabis community out here.
Well, it must have been interesting to take that break. And it's also interesting reflecting on pitching story ideas. As a writer myself, I have so much fun waking up at 3 a.m, smoking a joint, and then finding something to get angry about, writing a Facebook post, and then somehow it becomes a story. So it's just interesting to me to hear your process and to hear it's a little more refined. But at the same time, I read every one of your stories, and I think you get that sort of story because you put that effort into it. So as much as I like yelling about policy, I really enjoy your work on an artistic and sort of informative level. So thank you for that.
That's been my lane, and I've kind of tried staying in it, but I'm not afraid to get out there, and have had different writing opportunities over the years that have really challenged me. So being a high school dropout with no diploma, no real education, I'm proud of myself for, after 11 years, still doing this and still being consistent and figuring the shit out. So it feels good, man.
No question about it. It's really been an honor to have you with us here today, Bobby Nuggz.
Always.
For those of you who have been watching, we're just about to wrap up the MassCann, the 19th MassCann Virtual Education Village panel, and who knows, maybe he'll come back around again for another one as we keep going. Right before we get out of here, Bobby, any parting words? What did you think of the Freedom Rally? Anything you want to leave us with before we take off?
The Virtual Freedom Rally was great, man. We did what we could to make sure that the speakers could speak and get their voices heard and get our message and the ending of stigma of cannabis use and normalizing it. It's what we do. We did it. Life is good. I just really hope everyone is staying happy and healthy right now and making sure that they're doing positive things every day and not staying in their brain and not getting wrapped up in all this political bullshit and constant drama. Smoke a joint, take a dab. Don't forget, life is good. We're alive. We're healthy. We get to smoke weed and do what we do for a living. So I'm not complaining right now, my friend.
Well, you heard it from the man himself, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for what has been the 19th Virtual Education Village panel. Please find this and all of our Virtual Education Village content at masscann.org or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/MassCann. Thank you again to the board of directors, Lorna McCafferty, Bobby Nuggz, and everyone else who was involved today. And we will see you again on the next Virtual Ed Village. Have a good afternoon.
Have a great day, guys. Much love, Grant. Peace.